Up, Kyle.
Bro, how are you, man?
You guys are going to raise a million, huh? It's awesome.
Yeah, 1.5 million, hopefully.
Come help me raise 35 in Jacksonville.
What's out there?
Jacksonville Tower, largest building in Jacksonville.
Jen.
Hi, I just had my computer on mute and that on mute. Okay. Right.
We are starting Power Day today
Oh,
in
oh
30
yeah.
minutes.
Joe's just said
We're
because you guys weren't going to be on.
we're noobs.
hmm
So um she's on the Power Day already, started in on that, and then I'll kick off at 8:30 when they actually start and
Oh,
jump
is
over
this
that.
through? Oh, Big Dogs. Is that big like 8 hour thing or that?
Yeah.
hmm Oh yeah,
That,
Yeah.
that should be a good day. Did we send
Link.
the multiple Zoom links or something?
yeah. Sure looks like it.
What's that?
Hmm. I'm wondering if there we go.
Do
There we go. Now everybody's joining up. Morning, Angela.
You're muted, dear.
Good morning.
Oh, look at that. We
Good
got a
morning.
surprise visitor.
Well, I'm on the other one on my laptop over here, but it doesn't start, it seems like, till 8:50. So I think we're good for a little minute. Yeah.
How's everybody doing this Monday?
Well,
Jen
it
yawning.
is
Jet
it has
lag.
been it
Paris,
has
baby.
You went to Paris. Nice.
Yeah, just Frankfurt last week, Paris this week. So, but now I'm back.
Awesome.
and then do you get to do anything fun while you're there?
Yeah, I brought back so much wine. I needed help.
Can you help me carry this?
Oh, I felt bad. This guy tried to put my bag in the overhead bin. Psh, That was a that was comedic. I told him not to help me. He wouldn't listen to me.
That's funny.
Uh,
That's
Yeah,
a lot
we
of fun.
have had a work weekend, um pretty extensive work weekend. We have uh, a large deal going down in Central Florida, and Chad and I've chatted about it. It's a assisted living facility. It's
yeah.
173 beds. Um, it's a 7.7 million cap raise, and uh, it's going to have it's going to have a pretty intense return. That's underwritten conservatively, a percentage over what it should really close for. So that's going to offer up um, a ton of profit when it actually closes. But raising rents from 3,700 to 6,000 over 5 years. So that's going to just explode. Plus, changing it from assisted living 75-25 assisted living memory care to 100% memory care. So that's going to validate the rents. So it's a pretty big ordeal. It's $100,000 in, 7% pref. So upwards of a 3x multiple on exit.
You guys are more interested in when you get done with that, looking at group R&B, we got lots of opportunities with big buildings, including there's a $10 million raise right now on Jacksonville One, and then there's a lot of excitement with downtown Jacksonville right now. It's
That could
able to
it could work
supernova.
out. It could work out really well because we're building a group of cap raisers,
Nice.
and are going to start focusing on the cap raise, bringing them in through a fund. You and I talked about that last week.
Yeah, I'm interested in that because I think I can be good at capital raising and I can get the Jacksonville market. But we should go, Angela. You want to get the
Absolutely. That sounds great.
Jen and I were going to talk
Yeah.
for 10 after you do a little intro or something.
Okay.
So Go ahead, Angela. Give us your intro.
Well, thank you everybody for joining. This is our second session. Glad to have you all. Um, this session is we're going to talk a little bit about last week's homework and how do you feel like you did with that homework? Um, and I guess we'll start from there. Just, the accountability part. How do you guys feel if you were to rate yourself as 1 to 5, 1 being I barely did well at all. 5, I overachieved. 4, maybe I hit my goal.
So the homework was something you guys set, or was the homework from the Big Dog group?
No.
Personality test. We didn't do it.
Okay,
So we've just been so busy with this other commitment that we didn't get to that.
that's fine. We can most definitely push it towards this week
What-
homework. So to answer your question,
How did you know about homework and I didn't know about homework?
I attended last week.
Oh,
Gotta go
see how you
class
are.
to get the
I forget
homework.
what the link was, and I forgot to tell you about it.
we can resend it. That's no problem. So the homework was you basically set your own goals. It was like 2 to 3 goals for yourself that you wanted to complete this week, or excuse me, last week. We had the personality assessment, and then also to bring or to offer this session to someone that you thought it might be beneficial for.
Okay.
All right. Anybody want to start off, Chad?
Yeah, so we're trying to get to, Jen was going to talk about goals with our homework. I think we did pretty good. Our lead generation it's coming up because it's getting more consistent. So we're working on building out our marketing matrix. Basically, we have consistency with phone calls, cold calling, and emails. This week's we're adding text. So that's our big homework assignment, is just to increase the consistency. We want to get to 30 hot leads a week. That's where our goal is down the road.
And what are you at now?
And we're getting maybe 3 to 5 good ones coming in consistently. So it's just a consistent marketing. I drew out a little matrix so you can see where we need to fill in.
Okay.
You know, a lot of our hot leads are coming from our VA making cold calls, but we need to do more texting and mailers and driving for dollars stuff as well.
The drip campaigns have been helping with email, but I wanted to say a few things too that kind of lead into what you guys are doing with capital raising. One of the things I like to get motivated with is Alex Hormozy, and I know Shanoa follows this guy too, but super cool guy on LinkedIn. I read a thing from him today. He's saying the difference between making 100,000 a day versus a year is simpler than you think. People who make the 6 figures, they're willing to do a few things. They're willing to look stupid no matter what anybody else thinks, which I'm pretty good at that. And they take risks that not many people are willing to take. And also outreach and ask unlimited amount of people to get what they want. He also says he's convinced the first principle of building wealth is to disregard the opinions what others who don't have the wealth are telling you that you're doing it wrong. And I've found tons of naysayers. Anytime I change direction and really get into something, everybody's a naysayer.
Yep.
And initially it's your friends and family, and that's who I've talked to, the most and share the excitement. And they quickly go from naysaying to, wait a minute, what are you doing? And those I was going to talk about when we're doing startups, which Kyle, you guys already know this, but you find your early believers. And I know who my early believers are. I've got a great one. My aunt, she's like, here's $100,000, go play with it for 2 years. And those are the people that are betting on you and your team. They're buying into you and your vision. They believe in you. They're not worried about the deal. So I also want to talk about some mindset, or how important those people are to treat right and recognize who they are, because they're really going to give you a lot of startup momentum. But there's a couple other things. I heard about a painted door test. If anybody's familiar with that, it's a neat way, and it was applicable to really any business. And what you can do is you can test this if you're ever trying to raise capital on a deal. The concept is as if there's a painted door on the side of a building that's fake. So basically you walk people down the road to get them to where they're going to commit on a deal. And once they click there, if it's on a website, it's just saying coming soon. But that's a soft commitment and an easy, low budget way to test people if you're trying to raise any money by, offering a deal like that. And then mindset, we talked about that last week. So I was thinking about how to stay motivated because you're hitting barriers constantly, at least I am. And one of them is mental resilience. You have to have mental resilience because your highs are really good. They feel really great, but the lows, they feel really shitty, right? So you got to push through that. And you have to be doing something with your why, which Angela, you're going to talk about that. But if you are personally passionate about it and it has deep emotional ties and you deeply believe that you're here helping people, that's going to keep you motivated. You need, and you also have to have a mindset when raising capital, because we're all going to start looking for a lot of private capital, right? That you are valuable to them. And when I first started, I was thinking my investors are the most valuable thing I got. They're the money that's going to fund all my deals, right? But they need you just as bad as you need them. And once you realize that, it becomes a lot easier mentally to approach people. That's your cue, I guess, Jen. Take it from there with our goals.
Okay.
What we're talking about.
How many of us have set big, like ambitious goals only to lose momentum, maybe halfway through? And what if we try to just break those goals down into shorter, smaller steps, kind of like we did last week? We were working on our weekly goals. Well, what about stepping it up a little bit and working on our 30-day goals? Creating those smaller habits, and so we can see those smaller wins kind of helps supercharge us and build that momentum that we're looking for in order to reach the bigger goals that maybe a year or two down the line. And it keeps our mind engaged as well, which is the biggest thing, because if our mind isn't engaged, then how are we going to reach any of our goals? So yeah, like Chad said, I just want to try to talk about, those smaller goals, but enough to kind of help us reach the end goals that we're all kind of aiming for. Because the power of the 1 month goal is that we'll be able to see progress long enough to stay focused, and even and see that okay, our bigger goal is it's in reach. Those the smaller steps help us to create um, the momentum that we need. Um, so I guess first thing we would need to do is just pick a primary goal that aligns with our bigger goals. So I know for Chad and I, we're trying to, we'd love to hit eventually $1 million a month. But in order to get there, we kind of need to start with the smaller goals of maybe starting to hit, 50,000 a month and 100,000 a month. So what are the steps that we would take in order to get there? And so I think, for us, it would be trying to find those 30 hot leads a week, being able to talk to them. Because if it takes, 30, if it's a 30 to 1 close, we're going to need at least 30 in order just to get, a contract a week signed by a seller. So that's kind of like so being very specific about how we want to achieve our 1 month goals is going to help. Um, and I know, as Phil and Shanoa has always said, it's consistency over perfection, which I struggle with sometimes, but it's a work in progress to just be more consistent instead of working on all the little details. Um, something that would I know I need to work on a little bit more, and you all may have it down a little bit better, but using a daily tracker. A daily tracker is just kind of gonna help see the steps that we're taking and what's working and what we need to improve on. So even at the end of the day, like what did we do today in order to maybe talk to those people that we had, or what could we have done better? Even little things like could we have said something differently? Could we have a different demeanor when we're talking with someone on the phone? Just kind of writing down, those daily things, those daily steps that we've been taking and the action steps to kind of rehash and go over like what we can do better. And then at the end of the month, if we can go over what we actually achieved for the entire month, now we can see what worked, what didn't work, and what could we focus on for the next month. So I guess just everyone's call to action is just write down a goal. You know, what do we want, or what do we want to see? Was it this time next month? I don't know what the date is, but yeah, it's the 12th. But yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
the 12th. So,
Second Monday.
what do we want to see on the 12th? Because if we can create those smaller wins, it'll help us kind of keep that momentum going and keep that, propel us forward to the ultimate big goal that we want to see.
We're trying to tie this into, like, Kyle, you got your power day today, so they're trying to get everybody, and I've been working on this for years too, where you have like a 3 or a 5 year goal, because beyond that it's really too fuzzy, right? Then a 1 year goal that's broken down into quarterly, monthly, weekly, and even daily. And you have metrics along the way. And it's really important to reset every 90 days, reset your goals, because it re-energizes the motivation as well. But also wanted to say hi to Dylan Silver. Dylan Silver's with Investor Fuel. It's a mastermind group. He's not big dog, but he knows about us. And it's nice to have somebody outside of big dogs here. So, as we keep having these meetings, let's try to get them to grow and invite more people in if you like what we have to say. But Angela, it's up to you.
Hi Dylan, welcome. Just want to swing back towards the goals for last week. I don't want to just gloss over it because I want to make sure we're actually hitting our goals. And if we're not hitting our goals, we want to keep each other accountable. So Chad, did you get my message in regards to last week goals?
The text from yesterday.
Well, I just sent it in the chat here. And I'll just go over it. So if you weren't here last week and you want to set goals for yourself this week, we'll talk about those next week. But Chad, as far as your goals was 10 new connections, and you said you want to do 1,000 cold calls. Rating yourself 1 of 5, 5 being superseding your goals, 1 being barely touched. How would you rate yourself? 1 out of 5.
I'd go with the 2.5 on the goals. They need to increase, but I didn't, on my personal cold calls could have increased. Other than that, we did pretty good. It wasn't for lack of work. It was just didn't have the cold calls.
Gotcha.
Because we have the cold calls with our VA, but if we're being specific, him himself. Because I think with our VA, we did probably hit 1,000, but
easily over 1,000.
Yeah. All right. Amy, I think oh, sorry, Amy's not here. Josie, did you set goals or were you here last week?
Joe's not here.
No.
Josie.
Okay. Okay. Jen, how did you feel about your goals last week being met?
Yeah, no, I have to say a 1. I really wanted the action part of it, but then it's like, I think we went out and we did a little bit of driving on Monday, but then I don't know what happened. And I forgot what happened Tuesday, and then we left town on Tuesday and Wednesday, so we ended up being out of town, and I wasn't able to do the action of driving for dollars like I wanted to.
Okay. And just to keep everybody in the loop so we can keep her accountable, her goal was 2 hours per day to drive for dollars. So all right, we need a little bit more improvement. I know you both can do much better.
Yeah.
So if I could throw tomatoes at you guys.
So
we're gonna do better this week. Go ahead.
Part of that improvement needs to be setting realistic goals based on the failure event. So it's not necessarily cutting your goals down to what you did before, but ensuring that your goal setting is realistic, because the more you cause personal defeat by setting unattainable goals, the more you will cause yourself to not want to achieve those goals, and you'll fall off the wagon. If you have limitations that prevent you from being able to obtain your goals, it's unrealistic to set goals that outreach those limitations. So I would love to go to the gym 7 days a week. I wouldn't sit in this chair and talk to you if I went to the gym 3 days a week or even 2 days a week, because the pain that it would cause my body wouldn't really let me get out of bed very well. So um I'm in a lot of pain from being beat up in the military, and so having an unattainable goal of 7 days a week in the gym is something I'll never obtain. And because I can't reach my goal, I'm self-defeating. So you want to make sure that your goals are something that you can achieve consistently and then raise the bar.
That's a great point.
So
Absolutely.
if
I second
don't
that. Sure.
don't tell everybody, oh, I want to do 1,000 cold calls this week if there's no way I can make 100. I'd love to make 1,000 cold calls.
I
That's
just didn't have the
irrelevant.
lists, otherwise I would have. Our
Well,
list. But we can do 300 an hour. That's not a problem.
once again, that's a limitation.
Yeah.
So don't set goals beyond your known limitations. Set a goal of, I want to obtain a list that lets me call 1,000 calls. That's a good goal.
Mhm.
Yeah, because then when you're doing it the way you're saying, it just brings up bottlenecks, and then you can focus on how to remove those limitations, right?
Well,
It's
it can
possible.
be, but it's best to say I'm an overachiever. I need to up my game
Mhm.
versus I'm always an underachiever.
Totally. Yeah. It gives you that mindset that we were talking about a minute ago too, right? Of wins.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. You have to have a mindset that creates wins. With my staff, I told them I wanted I wanted them to be certified in something new. I wanted a new tech certification once every 90 days. And so when we'd have our 90-day morning meeting, I'd say, okay, who didn't finish their certifications over the last 90 days? I had some people who billed 85% of their time. They're not going to finish a certification every 90 days. So I had to change my mentality. My mentality was, I need to carve out time that allows people to do certifications who normally are overachievers in their job. So it's all about setting expectations correctly and giving yourself a way to achieve them. It doesn't have to mean that they're out of reach or that they're easy to reach. It just has to mean that they're attainable goals.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So for sure you want these to be SMART goals. Everybody's familiar with SMART goals,
Our
right?
goals. Yep.
Yeah,
What came to mind
absolutely.
as soon as you said that?
These absolutely have to be SMART goals. And then not only that, I want to specify goals is for me the bar. Like we want to always jump over the bar, overachieve. Um, we can't tell you what to do on a weekly day, or excuse me, on a weekly basis. These are your goals. So understand that if you aren't reaching your goals, you're letting yourself down. We can't, this is not really something that we can hold your hand with. We can hold you accountable, but sometimes I have people who don't even answer my call when I'm doing like, hey, I'm checking in. Like at the end of the day, you're in charge of your own self, you're an adult, but the goal is to always overachieve. So if your goal is to do 1,000 calls, we're shooting for 1,500, you know. That's just kind of what I always do. So this week, or excuse me, last week, it's early and I have yet to have coffee. Last week, my goal was 10 new connections and 10 warm leads. I'm exhausted from meeting new people. So I probably met I want to say like 17 new people. And just because I was asking so many people questions on all of the leads that I got that actually turned into contracts. So last week I signed 4 contracts. Um, I'm exhausted. I really need a vacation today. I have
You need a
not.
round of applause for that one. Signing
Thank you.
contracts.
Thank you.
Very awesome.
And uh it kind of talks about it kind of hits on what I want to talk about today. I think I'm over achieving with my goals because I know my why. And not only do I know my why, but I'm able to show people my why. I think it's much more important to hear my why when I'm talking, especially to people, motivated sellers. I know some of you guys are sticking with commercial or got really large things going on, but right now I'm working with residential, and a lot of my residential contracts or foreclosures. And my why is I care about people. For me, deals are great. Deals is what pays my bills, but I truly want to see people do better. And they understand that when I'm talking to them and I'm also talking to buyers, they get that. I want that to be known first. Like I do care about making money for sure, but I want to be able to give these people a good exit strategy, not just sell their house. Like, so I'm always putting my neck out there. So we have, at least three months worth of rent, 2 to 3 months worth of rent, a down payment, just so you won't be kicking this can down the road. As much as I enjoy talking to you, I don't want to talk to you about the same situation 6 months from now. And they feel that. They feel that. I'm very passionate about it. So I've also had one of the contracts that I signed was, hey, my friend actually just went through foreclosure. I'm going through something very similar. How could you help me? And that was like a aha moment for me because I'm just like, people understand, like, yes, I'm an investor, but I don't want to feel like a vulture. Right? It's a lot of people calling, a lot of people showing up at their door, a lot of people telling them, what happens with foreclosure. It's alarming, and these are real people, and it's happening real time for people. Uh, so I encourage you guys to have a why. If you don't know your why, I encourage you guys to let that be your homework for the week. I do want to share this video. Some people have actually seen it. I'm shocked because I'm always sharing this video, and Chad just told me yesterday, like, yeah, that's actually part of the homework. Don't ask me how am I doing with my homework. That's my goal for this week.
Send me follow up in an email, and so I can catch up on last week and take care of the homework for next week.
Absolutely.
But I got to jump out to this mega day.
This is all going on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel now, so I can get
Oh,
you.
very good.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Shoot me the link to
Is
that.
it recorded?
For
Yep.
sure.
I didn't.
Last
Okay,
week.
so I didn't, oh, it is recording. Okay.
Okay. See you guys.
See ya. Have
Hey,
a great
man,
day.
thanks for the good input.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep.
So let me go ahead and share the video. So if you have not seen this, great. If you have seen it, maybe a refresher is necessary because for me as well. All right, let's go here.
I got a 10 o'clock hard cutoff, by the way.
10
But
o'clock? 10
yeah.
o'clock or 9?
He's
I
in
gotta leave.
Florida. So
But feel free to stay on and meet Dylan. He's cool. He was just had me on a podcast last week. So Investor feels pretty neat.
Gotcha. Okay, let me hurry up.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight, and the Wright brothers beat them to it? There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery, and this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I've spent the last 23 years now working with
It's just the three of us now. It's all right.
Okay.
all over the world in 100 countries to show them.
Great in it.
So I gotta get my 10 o'clock, but you guys
As
can
it turns
discuss this
out,
or whatever.
There's a
I'm
pattern.
out.
As it turns
You guys
out,
can-
all the great
All right. Take care. Bye.
and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call